welcome into this year's Not So Halloween special. Doing things differently this year, and there is one thing I did want to continue from last year though, and that is a rewatch of the previous years, or the previous seasons. I did one last year of a season 1 rewatch, so this year I want to do a season 2 rewatch. You guys seem to really enjoy last year's little commentary rewatch, and so I want to do it again today. So season 2 is when it really started to ramp up. I started doing some traveling. This was also the first year where I did an episode all week for Halloween. So there was 5 episodes that year. And also in this season, I think it had one of the most popular episodes, if not the most popular episode. I believe that was episode 2, and it was about the instant photography hacks. So I'm going to remember that and maybe do another one soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch an episode, maybe even a couple of episodes in a row. I'll chime in, talk about some commentary, maybe a little behind the scenes, and then we'll jump right back into the next episodes, and then we'll continue on. So sit on back, and I'm going to take you back to 2021 for season 2 of the Halloween special. It's that time of year again. Welcome to episode 1 of Just Another Chris Halloween special, season 2. Season 2. In this episode, we'll be learning all about expired film. If you remember from last year, we tested out Fuji Instax expired film. Link in the description if you missed that one. So this time I figured, why not test some expired Polaroid film? I got quite a bit of it. So sit back, grab some Egos, and let's dive in. The film we'll be testing today are I-type film, 600 film, Spectra film, and even some Mio film, Polaroid film. I have doubts on this one, but we're going to test it out. Special shout out to Dave Knopp for sending the Mio film, and huge thank you to Caleb and Alex for graciously donating a Spectra film for this video. Links to their socials will be down in the description below, and plus you'll be seeing them pop up in this video. If you're thinking of buying some expired film, there are a few things that you should know before you dive into it. Firstly, check when it expired. On the side of the box, you will see a production date. You will get the best results within the first year of that date. Anything after that is when you can run into some problems, or, as some might say, creative opportunities. In each photo, there's a chemical pod that develops a photo. So when you take a picture, as the photo ejects, what it's doing is it's spreading that chemical across the image. And in the case of expired film, the chemical could start to dry out and cause pictures to not develop correctly or at all, or maybe just partially develop. But with expired film that you do get results with, the results could come out like your images being foggy, or with this ghostly streak across the picture, or just color shifts, just to name a few. The other thing to keep in mind is the battery. SX70, 600, and Spectra film all have batteries inside the film packs. So the older it is, the higher the chance the battery could be dead, or partially dead. You could always transfer the film into another pack that has a good battery, and you can do that by using like a changing bag or a dark room. That would be a good workaround in that case. This is done in the dark. In the dark. Do this in the dark. Or if it is 600 film that you are using and there's a dead battery, you can always pop that into an I-type camera and you would be good to go, since those cameras don't need a battery in the film pack to operate. There's a battery built into the camera. Storage. If you're buying the film from someone, be sure to ask them how they have had it stored. If it's been cold stored, aka in a refrigerator, then the film will most likely still perform decently, at least for the first couple of years, past the expiration date. However, if it's been sitting on the shelf for a couple years or more, results could vary wildly. Rule of thumb is though, don't pay a lot for expired film. The older the film gets, the more light it needs in my experience. They tend to come out a little bit darker, so either add more light or just, bump up that exposure compensation. Now, let's take a quick break and look at this Mio film. It's kind of its own special category. It's Polaroid film, but it's basically a rebranded instax film. And I'm pretty sure this expired either in 2008 or 2003. I'm not 100% sure. It's either 2008 of March or it's August of 2003 expiration. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I love you, GH5, but your autofocus sucks. I am at the Vancouver Mall in Vancouver, Washington, not Canada. And I'm in this really awesome selfie studio, I guess it is. Check this out. Bays set up for photos. Look at this. Everywhere I point the camera. Hey, hi guys, how's it going? Hey. They're my models today. Like everywhere I point this thing, there's somewhere cool. So we're gonna pass the phone. This is the Polaroid instax film. It's not instax though. It's Polaroid Mio. Okay, it's either 2003 or 2008. Ooh, it smells really weird. You want to smell it?
Oh, weird.
You want to smell it? It's dissipating. It was stronger. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Take your bets to see if this will actually work. All right. I guess you'll be the test subject. You have the cool glasses and everything.
All right.
I'm going to shoot some bright colors with bright light because I think it's probably going to need that. Oh no. No. It spread some, but I don't think so. I don't think it's going to work. Let's find out together. And yeah, so none of those photos actually worked, unfortunately. That's a huge bummer. I was hoping to get at least one photo, but no, this stuff, if you find it, stay away, it don't work. Expired film can be super fun to mess around with. It adds that extra level of you just never know what you're gonna get in your photos. As an extra bonus test, I traveled to Ohio recently and shot some of these photos for this video. What I normally do is when I travel, I have TSA hand check my film. That way it doesn't go through the x-ray. But one of the Stranger Things iType packs I left open and put it through the x-ray anyway. Didn't use it while I was there, I didn't get to it. So it traveled back with me again and I didn't hand check it and I had it run through the x-ray again. I wanted to see what would happen. Would it ruin the film? Let's see those results. Perfectly fine. There's some color shifts, sure, but that's mainly due to the date of the film, because it is a couple years expired, and as well as the lighting. I shot most of these indoors at a mall under fluorescent lights, so you're gonna get some interesting colors with that. But honestly, the Stranger Things film, I think, is my favorite of all the expired films. It gives a really, really unique look. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below, let's chat. So, is expired film actually worth buying after all this? I would say yes, just don't go out and spend a lot of money on it. I had to, unfortunately, to make this video. I'll be posting a lot more of these photos from this entire series of my Halloween special over on Instagram. So if you want to check those out, there's a link in the description below, as well as a link to the Patreon page where you can actually join the monthly print club, which is a photo subscription. Plus you get fun bonus content if you're into that sort of thing. And be sure to check back tomorrow for the next episode, which is all about instant photography hacks. I can't wait. It's gonna be a really, really fun one. Now, get out there, make some art. Ooh, this episode was a lot of fun. I feel this might be one of my more favorite of the series. I just love doing like expired film tests and stuff. I had quite the variety in this one. Thankfully to Dave Noptop, he coming in with the Mio film, or Mio. Still don't know to this day how to pronounce it. And then Caleb and Alex, they gave me some of their Spectra film, which was also Caleb and Alex's first appearance on the channel. I only met them recently at that point. I think I knew them for maybe a month or two at that point. Because I just got back from Japan with them this year. Yeah, those videos will be coming soon, so stay tuned. Let's dive right back into episode 2 of season 2. And this one is on some instant film hacks. Let's do it. Welcome into episode 2 of the Just Another Chris season 2 Halloween special. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you some instant photography hacks. And we're going to focus on Polaroid hacks. I've got 3 of them for you. One of them is how to use I-type film inside 600 cameras. The second one is going to be going over fun, cool filter effects. And lastly, a temperature controlled developing bag. This is going to be one fun episode. So sit on back, grab those Egos, and let's dive in. Let's talk about I-type film. I-type film tends to get a lot of the cool special edition, limited edition frames, such as the Star Wars packs and of course, the Stranger Things ones, just to name a few. But you can only use them inside I-type cameras. Since I-type film doesn't have batteries inside the film packs, you can't use them in SLR cameras or other 600 box type cameras. And I really want to shoot some Stranger Things film inside my lovely SX70 cameras. Oh, I love these things. So how do you get this film inside this camera? It's actually pretty easy. There's 2 ways you can go about it. One of the ways is you can use the changing bag. That's this guy right here. No, it's not a shirt. It does look like it has sleeves, but it's not. But this is a dark room, essentially. A portable dark room that you put your film inside of it and you stick your arms through it, and then you can take the film and swap it into an empty 600 cartridge, one that has a battery. That's the most common way you can do it. There is one other method that I do use, and it's can be a little controversial. You know, some people don't like doing this way, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. I have had 0 issues with this, but do this at your own risk. What you're going to do is you're going to take an empty cartridge, one that has a battery. You're going to disassemble it. You're going to take it apart, and then you're going to pull the battery out. Then you're going to take some scissors and you're going to trim the corner just a little bit. Then you're going to peel it open. Once you peel it apart, what you're going to do is you're going to take some scissors and you're going to trim it down. Then you're going to take your I-type film pack, open it up, flip it over, and you're going to lay that battery on the bottom. Then you're going to take some packing tape and tape all around the edges of the film pack. And then that's it. You load it into your camera just as you were any other film cartridge. And now you can shoot I-type film inside your SLR or box 600 camera. The reason you want to make sure you had the tape like covered all of the corners of that battery is pull out the pack of film. You want to make sure nothing catches. So you want to do it kind of slow just in case, but it will pull out just fine. Just like so. That's it. Pretty easy. Some people don't like this method because when you insert it into the camera, it's a little more snug than usual. Yeah, so when you load it in, it feels like you might break the camera, but you won't. As long as you make sure you taper there on the edges so nothing can catch, when you pull out, you're gonna be perfectly fine. I've been doing this for a while now and I've had no issues. Does that mean you might have issues? It is a possibility, but the chances are very unlikely. But again, this is why it's called a hack. So do it at your own risk. If it isn't a method that you are comfortable with, maybe option 1 is better for you. Use a changing bag in the dark and swap the film into another cartridge. It's really not that difficult. Hack number 2, that's with film filters. I got this idea one day because I was putting an ND filter on to shoot my film inside the Instax camera, and upon ejection, one of the pods exploded in the camera, and I cleaned up the best I could. Didn't know that I got some developer on my ND filter, and the next image that I shot, it had basically transferred that marks that were on my ND filter onto my image, which gave me an idea. So I looked up to see if you could buy clear, transparent paper, and you actually can. So I took this, scanned it into my computer, made an outline of it in Photoshop, and I got this. Printed it on clear, transparent paper, and it has the shape of the ND filter. And I thought, what if cool designs to these and put it in the camera and shoot it? Would it transfer that to my image? So I printed out a bunch of them, and here are those results. All right, so we're out here. We've got some packs. These are each loaded up with 1 images each. See what we can do before the sun goes away. There's not much sun left. Let's see what we can come up with.
What position though? Like, the more awkward.
So Carlina shot some of her first Polaroids. How do you think you did?
Hopefully okay.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked beautifully. I'm sure the results would be a lot better if you had a really nice printer. I don't have a nice printer, so the results weren't as pictured in my head, but it still worked out really well. It's a great proof of concept. I bet if you took them and got them professionally printed, it would come out even better. I'll leave links in the description to pick up the transparent paper, but when you print this out, you have to make sure you're printing on the correct side. And the way to know which is the correct side is if you breathe on it, and if it fogs up, that's not the side you want to print on. You want to print on the other side. Otherwise, the ink won't dry. It'll just be wet permanently and it'll wipe off. And you don't want that. To get these images with the mind flare, or the smoke monster, with the red in the sky, what I did was I took some red gel. It's actually in the shape of an ND filter because I had another idea for that. But I just put it in front of my lens and shot through it. And these are the results that I got. These are real photos. So to get this photo here of the train and the mind flare, I actually used the Polaroid Lab. That photo I took with a digital camera. For the spaceman one, this one is not used with the Polaroid Lab. I shot a picture of my computer monitor, straight in camera, still all in camera effects. The one with the bridge, that was a Polaroid Lab. The other like UFO picture, I just shot against my monitor. Thought it kind of looked cool. Now there's only one downside to shooting with these filters, is that you're almost committed to shooting the whole pack with that image inside. It's a little tricky to swap out images if you don't want to shoot every photo with that filter on it. You have to constantly be taking it in and out of the camera inside a dark bag. Or what you could do is what I did in this video. I preloaded up some packs with 1 picture each with the filters. Very time consuming, but it can be done. And I used a dark changing bag, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick one up for yourself. Because otherwise, every photo that you take with that pack of film is gonna have this image burned into it. If you guys do this, tag me over on Instagram, just_anotherchris. Link is also down below. I would love to see your photos that you create with this. And if you want to join our little community over on Discord and share your photos there as well, you're more than welcome to do that too. Link is in the description. Hack number 3, a chilled developing bag.
All right, everyone, chill.
So why would you need a cool down film bag? Especially right now in October, it's kind of really chilly outside. The reason is people already know about the hand warmer, like hand warmers in a little like a box so if it's cold outside, you warm those up, you can throw your photos in that box. It'll keep the photos at mostly a good warm temperature for it to develop. Otherwise, if you're in the cold weather, the photos will develop kind of coming out looking bluish. Well, I was over in Ohio not too long ago, and it was really humid, and it was kind of hot outside, not like crazy hot, but definitely humid, and all my pictures were coming out magenta. just really just not looking so good. So I had this idea. Took a small cooler that you like would freeze.
Freeze is over.
And then you put your film in there and let it develop. Would it work? So I made a trip to Walmart and found this. This was like 10 bucks. I'll try and find a link for this or something equivalent, and I'll leave it down for you as well. But this is actually for a bottle of wine. Stick your bottle of wine in there. So this actually just gets thrown in the freezer. So I thought, what if you stuck photos in there? Would it work? Well, let's find out. All right, so I had this idea. Dave here warned me against it. I'm like, I'm gonna try it anyway. And he was of course correct. So the idea was, since you're out shooting, if it's like hot or humid out, this bag fits the camera perfectly. And it's chilled.
Chill.
Well, there's film still in here, and I thought, well, chill the camera down. He's like, oh, you're gonna get condensation buildup and the lens might fog up. And I was in the car and I put it in there for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I was checking it periodically though, and it was fine. But now we're outside, and sure enough, I pull it out of the thing, and the lens fogs up, and I can't even see through the viewfinder.
Cool party.
I make these horrible mistakes so you don't have to. Hopefully there's no long-term effect on the condensation inside the camera. I have a feeling that it should be okay. Just this one time. Don't put your camera in this. So after I take the photos will just go in here. Just leave it at that. Alright, so I just took a photo, or Dave took a photo. Putting the photo in here. I probably shouldn't leave it in there the entire time and pull it out after maybe 30 seconds. Because it's already pretty cold. I don't want it to get too cold because it'll like turn blue. You have to keep checking on it and pull it in and out a little bit to make sure it doesn't get too cold, because there's no way to control the actual temperature consistently. It'll, change over time. So, but yeah, I think that actually worked out very good. The photo's a little overexposed because I shot it with the Polaroid Now Plus, and if you guys saw my review of that, you know my frustrations with that camera. It might be overexposed though. Stupid camera. I don't get it. I'm gonna email Polaroid. I'm gonna just yell at them politely.
Get them.
Talk about your cold shoulder.
But the color of it's not really magenta. I think it worked out really, really well. I'm really excited to experiment more with this in the hot summer times. But this is I'm really looking forward to experiment with this more. But if you guys do this, let me know your results. I would love to know what you're doing or your method to improve upon this, because this right here actually worked out pretty well. So those are my 3 Polaroid instant photography hacks. If you want to see more of these hack videos, let me know in the comments below. I do have a few more creative ideas up my sleeve that I would love to share with you. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for episode 3 of the Halloween special season 2. We're talking SLR cameras versus box cameras. What's the difference? Which one's better? Which one should you buy? Can't wait to dive into that topic with you guys. Now get out there, make some art. Instant film hacks. Yeah, this was quite the good performing video of all of the series pretty much. And it's also really fun to do. I had a good time doing this one. And first year, I got to hang out in person with Dave Knopp, aka Knopptop. I knew of Knopptop for the past, at that point, like 10 years. Easily 10 years. I watched him online, watched his videos, just really liked him a lot. And then we became friends once I started doing my own YouTube channel. He found my channel. It was really cool. Which you do see him a bit more in the videos coming up. But this was really the first year I got to start the Ohio trip to film the Halloween special. It became a tradition, an accidental one, where I go hang out with Dave, which that was the plan anyway. I didn't even know I was gonna be filming the Halloween special out there. I just wanted to go hang out with Dave. And so now it became a tradition for the last 3 years of going out there and filming episodes for it. But this year I didn't get to go. I didn't get to go out there because I went to Japan instead. So we'll see what happens next year. So let's move on to episode 3 and 4. We'll check back in after episode 4. And they are on box type versus SLR. And then episode 4 is the lenses. Using lenses on your Polaroid cameras, which is a pretty cool one. Welcome in to episode number 3 of the Just Another Chris Halloween Special Season 2 2021 edition. And in today's video, we're going to be learning about box cameras or 600 cameras versus SX70 or SLR cameras. There's some glaring differences with the two, and we're gonna learn about the specs, the pros, the cons of all of them, and see which one is best for you. So sit back, enjoy, let's dive on in. There are a ton of box type cameras out there. They come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Some have little flip up flashes, some have flashes that you install on the top of them, and they all tend to shoot 600 film. However, there are a couple of them out there in the early days that shot SX70 film, but we're gonna focus more on the 600 film. We'll come back to that in just a second. For this video, I'm gonna focus on just a couple of the ones I have laying around, which I kind of have a few of them. And you may recognize this one. This one was in the first episode of last year's Halloween special. If you want to check out that video, there's a link in the description below. Box cameras are super fun. They're really cool. You point, shoot, take a picture, and then you see what you get. They're fun. I actually really dig the quality of the images that come out of this. It adds a kind of a unique look that I don't get in most of the other cameras I shoot with. So, I mean, I really like these. However, I am a bigger fan of the SLR cameras, and I know a lot of you guys are. They're kind of the premium and the most sought after cameras, and that is the SX70 folding SLR cameras. You know, you pop them open. They're really nice. But for me, the major draw to this camera over like a box type camera is the fact that when you look through the viewfinder, you're actually looking through the lens, so you get to see exactly how the picture is going to be framed. It's really neat. These guys, you don't. You look right off to the side. Right here, this is where I'm looking through. Here's the lens. I don't get to see through the lens, so I don't know exactly what the framing looks like. Now, the other major thing that SLR cameras have that box cameras don't have, that box cameras are fixed lenses, meaning it's focused at a certain set and that's it. And since you can't look through the lens, you don't always know exactly where it's going to be focused at. SLR cameras are not that way. You look through it and you can actually focus it. You can choose where you're going to be focusing that lens and take your picture. So being able to see and be able to focus is a huge plus and a major draw that these cameras are awesome. You may notice that I accidentally dropped it the other day out of my pockets and it cracked the side open. I'm very sad, but it still works. So that's a new thing. But anyway, I digress. He came alive, he tried to eat me, but I fought him off. So one of the other differences is the lens itself. This is a plastic lens. This is a glass lens. Why does that matter? Well, glass lens is actually going to be a lot sharper and crisper than a plastic lens. But does that mean the lens on this is bad? No, not at all, actually. In fact, this particular camera, the 1-step 2, I actually get some pretty awesome, unique looks that even this camera can't do. But you will get sharper images out of this guy just because of that glass lens. The plastic lens, you're going to get a little bit more soft, less sharp photos, but it lends its own unique look, like I was saying. It really just comes down to your preference. And honestly, if I put photos from these cameras next to each other, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference right away unless you really know where to look. Now, the other thing is pretty glaring. This thing folds down pretty thin-ish. You can fit into your pocket, your backpack. It's a lot easier to travel with versus a box camera. Now, another thing you're probably going to be wondering about is the film types. Now, this is an I-type camera, so it shoots I-type and 600. There's other cameras out there, like this guy right here. This is a 600 camera. It's basically the same one as this one, but it uses 600 film only, and it just looks pretty freaking cool. But these cameras shoot SX70 film. What's the difference, you may ask? Well, that is the ISO, or the ASA of the film, the sensitivity of the film. This is 600, which is actually 640, ISO 640. This is an ISO of 125, I believe, which is not very fast, which means you have to shoot this camera in really bright sunny day or with a flash, because that shutter is going to be staying open for quite some time and you can get some blurry images otherwise. There are only 2 cameras out there that Polaroid put out that use 600 film in an SLR. And of course, I'm talking about the SLR 680, aka the Beast. This guy has it all. It has a flash, it has autofocus, it has SLR capabilities. So you look through the viewfinder and you are gonna see what you can take a picture of. And he shoots 600 film natively. Really cool camera. Very expensive camera. if you can find one. They're kind of sought after and can range anywhere from $500 to $1,000 depending on condition. However, there are a couple other options out there. If you are looking to get one of these cameras and want to shoot 600 film, you can still shoot 600 film in this camera. You just have to use an ND filter over the pack of film to where it basically turns it into SX70 film. It will still operate at the same shutter as if you were to use regular SX70 film, so it's still kind of slow. The second option is you can actually send your camera in and be converted into a 600 camera natively. And that's what this one is. This shoots natively 600 film, so don't have to worry about it. Plus 600 film is a lot easier to find than SX70 film. There's a few websites out there you can actually do it from, and I will link some in the description below. And I'm thinking about doing a video exclusively on converted cameras with a particular company, so if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. There are a bunch of options you have when it comes to SLR cameras. For instance, this one is a sonar, which means autofocus. So you look through the viewfinder, you push the button, it will automatically focus for you and take the picture. There are base models without that, which I do have one, which is really nice because it's a little smaller and you can fit in your pocket a little bit easier. The other 600 camera that Polaroid did put out is this SLR 690. It's the same thing as the 680. It just came out in the 90s, in case you were wondering. Box cameras now, on the other hand, there are hundreds of options you have for this thing. They stopped making the SLRs in the 90s and then just focused on these guys. Polaroid wanted to put out a camera that was a lot more affordable because these guys were really expensive back in the day. These you do have more control over the exposure because you have exposure compensation. I believe it's up to 4 stops of exposure compensation. I think that's how that one works. Over here, the box cameras, most of them, you only get +1 or -1. With the exception of the Polaroid One Step Plus and the Polaroid Now Plus, if you use the app, you do get a little more option over the exposure compensation, but you have to use your phone. You can't just push a button. Plus, box cameras tend to always have a flash built right in there. The SLR cameras don't. You have to either add a little adapter on top of it for a flash, or if you have the cash, you could get an SLR 680 and it has the flash built in, but you're gonna pay a lot of money for it. These also tend to be a lot cheaper than these guys. These guys range all over the map. Depending on where you go. Base models of these can be $100 all the way up to, like I said, $1,000 depending on the type of one you're buying. These guys you can go on like Craigslist. Is Craigslist still a thing? I don't even know. But Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, eBay, Amazon, you can find these for like 20 bucks like on Facebook Marketplace, like all day long. And if you're using the new I-type cameras, is it new? It came out in 2016. But if you're using the I-type cameras, the film is a couple dollars cheaper over 600 type film. Now, if you are going to go this route and you don't want to convert your camera, you're looking at SX70 film, you can't really buy that in stores unless it's a dedicated photography video store, like maybe B&H. I actually went to B&H in New York last year and I was able to find 2 packs of it locally there. But most stores don't stock it. Target, Best Buy, nope, not gonna happen. Walmart, no, never. 600 film all day long, everywhere you can find that stuff. Polaroid.com is the only place really you can get SX70 film regularly. So, I mean, I would go away from that route. There are, like I said, a couple box cameras out there that do shoot SX70 film, but they're the early ones, and I would stay away from those in my opinion. The way to tell what your camera shoots, all the cameras are gonna say this when you open it up, somewhere in the film door, like on this one, it shows down at the bottom here, the film type it uses. It uses I-type and 600 film. Pay attention to that. Now, this is kind of its own category, but I will mention it. I kind of mentioned it already in this series, but let's dive in a little bit more to it. And that is the I-type specific box cameras that has over SLR and 600 film cameras. And that is the fact that they tend to get all the really cool film, like the special frames. For instance, the Stranger Things film. So if you're into that sort of thing, maybe I pick up an I-type camera, box type, and you'll get all the cool fun frames like Stranger Things or Star Wars. I think they did a Snoopy's one. There's a few of them up on the website you can buy right now. But that's something to keep in mind as well if you're interested. But if you remember from the previous episode of the Halloween special, 2021 edition, I taught you how to use that fun special frame inside these SLR or other 600 cameras. So if you want to check out that wizardry, be sure to check the link in the description below for the previous episode. Durability. On the box cameras, they're all plastic. SLR cameras, Most of them are metal. Not all of them. Like this thing's all metal except for the sonar, which doesn't make any sense. It's plastic. What the heck? The SLR 680 and 90, they're actually all plastic too, which doesn't make any sense. So this might be something for you guys that don't know. 600 film has a battery inside the film pack, so that operates the cameras, because back in the day, these didn't have any sort of power to actually take a picture. So each time you put a film pack in, it powered the camera, so you always had juice. You always had power, always had something ready to take a picture. You don't have to worry about the camera dying on you or whatever, right? Super nice and handy and super convenient. However, it's not great for the environment to be throwing, you know, batteries away in the trash. So that introduced the new I-type film. The cameras now have batteries inside, and you can throw in film packs without batteries in it, so you're not being so wasteful. Pros and cons to that: maybe one day the battery in this goes out, and now your camera can't be used. That's why the older cameras are still going, because it operates no matter what, because a new battery goes inside. So it's something to keep in mind as well. So which one do I recommend you getting? Well, it depends on your style and your level of commitment to, you know, shooting film. For me, I tend to lean more towards SLRs. As you guys already know, I love SLR cameras, mainly just because I can look through the viewfinder and see what I'm taking the picture of. I can be a lot more creative with this, in my opinion, as far as framing. Choose my focal plane. It's just really, really nice to be able to do that. But if you're just starting out and you've never shot any sort of Polaroid before, I would go with the box cameras. One, because you can find them pretty cheap. Two, they're super simple to shoot with. If you have any further questions, please leave a comment below. I would be more than happy to answer that for you, or if you just want to chat. And be sure to check back tomorrow for the next episode of the Justin and the Chris Halloween Special, Season 2, Episode 4. We're talking lenses. Yeah, lenses for Polaroid SLR cameras specifically. Yeah, telephoto, super wide angle, fisheye, all that good stuff. Macro even, shall we? Lots of good stuff. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you there, guys. Now get out there, make some art. Stay away from Demogorgons. They're usually right behind you. I really like Lego. And yes, you say Lego, not Legos. Just so you know, that is proper. And I like to take pictures of Lego, but it's kind of difficult. You can't get that close with a Polaroid camera. But there is a solution. You can put lenses on your camera and you can get pretty freaking close. Look how close you can get. But these only work on folding SX70 cameras. There's a few options out there, and I'm going to talk about them today. So let's dive on in. Oh, and welcome into episode 4 of the Halloween Special, Season 2. So, I'm actually not in my normal car. You haven't seen this car yet. That is because I'm actually restoring 1989 Pontiac Firebird, and that's this car. Totally irrelevant to this video, I know. But I wanted to come out and talk about these lenses for your Polaroid SX70 cameras. These are like super generic lenses. They were mostly introduced for like phone lenses. You put your phone in the case and you could thread these on and you can, you know, shoot some cool photos. Like this one is, for instance, is from Beast Grip. It's kind of gloomy, but you might add to the aesthetic of, you know, the creepy, Halloweeny, spooky vibes. So let's get on out there and shoot some photos. Okay, here we go. All right, this was a terrible idea. What was I thinking? And plus it's starting to rain way more. I didn't bring a raincoat, so let's go home. All right, so what is this exactly? This is a lens mount system for your SX70 folding cameras. It is just like a little clip system. You fit right up on there and clips on just like so, and then you can thread on your lenses. And the mount system is a 37 millimeter, so whatever lens you can find that has that thread size, you can thread it right on here and use it on these cameras. It's really, really cool. And the lenses, I have a fisheye as well as a macro lens. It's like a 2-in-1. Unscrew it and I have a macro lens. And then I have a 2x telephoto lens. And I have a super wide angle lens. Now you may be asking yourself, Polaroid made a telephoto lens for SX70 cameras, and you are correct. And I did a review on it already, and there's a link in the description below if you want to check it out. This is basically the same exact thing. If you're using a camera that has sonar like a SLR 680 or just the Sonar SX70 cameras, depending on what you're going to be shooting, you're going to want to click that into manual focus mode. Sometimes it has trouble with the telephoto and fisheye lens, definitely the macro lens, focusing. So that's just another thing you're going to want to keep in mind when shooting with these lenses. So you may be asking, what about the Mint kit right here for SLR cameras? This is a really awesome lens kit. However, there is one big aspect that this kit doesn't offer that this does. The SLR cameras, they are glass lenses. The Mint lens kit is plastic. So you're putting plastic lenses in front of a glass lens. And this might not matter to you at all, but if you're looking for those crisp, sharp photos, you're not really gonna get that from this kit. It's basically gonna look like being taken from one of these type of cameras. That's perfectly fine. You can still get good images. It's just gonna add a little bit of extra softness to your images when you use this kit. And the price, this thing ranges all over the place. I've seen it as high as $100, as low as $60. It depends on where you go and buy it. Currently the adapter is about $30, $40. And even with these lenses for this mount, it's still a little bit cheaper. And there's a lot of other variety type lenses you can get for this. There's even like this crazy telephoto lens that you can stick on it as well. I didn't go that route, but you can find those on eBay. They're about $60, $70 for that thing. It's like a 12 times zoom. It's kind of crazy. I would love to test that out one day. We're good. We're good. That hit hard. Honestly, my favorite lens out of all of this so far has been the fisheye, which is funny because I'm not a fisheye lens guy. I've never liked that look, and I'm from the era, from the 90s. All those videos were shot with a freaking fisheye. I swear to God, that this angle right here, this is my youth. This is how the world was seen in the 90s. Everything was freaking fisheye, but I never liked it. But with the Polaroid, it looks freaking cool. I don't know, it just adds this really cool look, and I've been loving pairing the fisheye with round frames. The results come out kind of neat. It's like a perfect match. The only thing that does suck about this is I can't close the camera without taking it off each time. And, you know, if you're trying to do something quick, you gotta sit there and fumble with it and try and get it on. Hopefully you get it on the right way. It's kind of annoying. And plus it doesn't pack very well, so I'll basically have to take everything apart and put it back in the bag. It can be annoying. But it's pretty cool because it is glass lens. There's a lens out there, or lens attachment, that Mint camera made, and it's really cool. However, you're putting a plastic lens onto a glass lens. It kind of defeats the purpose. Therefore, the sharpness isn't that good. But these are really nice because it's actual glass. When you're using some of these lenses, especially the macro lens, you got to take account of two things. It needs a lot of light because you're really, really close to the subject, and the light sensor sometimes can struggle to know how to expose the image. And two, if you're using the macro lens, you got to remember to pull away the moment you take that picture, because the photo is going to eject and like get jammed up into whatever you're taking a picture of, like I did. I'm noticing with the telephoto lens, more specifically the one I have, I mean, if you use one, it could be slightly different, but with this mount system and a telephoto lens, I'm getting this vignette around the corners of my images, which I kind of like. It just adds a kind of a unique look. It's personal preference, but I don't necessarily like that in every single photo, so that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't have another telephoto lens to test it out with, because it could just be this one. There's hundreds of different brands of this lens out there that you can buy. Your results could vary, but in mine, I'm noticing a lot of vignette going on in the corners. Durability of this thing was something I was worried about. This looks 3D printed. I don't know what material they printed it with. Guessing it's PLA. I don't think it's ABS plastic. Now, this isn't a 3D printing channel. I used to do that on another channel, but that's long gone now. But if this is PLA plastic, you don't want to leave this in your car on a hot summer day because it will not melt, but it will soften and just distort and probably become unusable if that is the material that is being used. I've been using this for a little while now. I've been throwing it in, like, I have not been too kind on this. I've been throwing it around. I've been traveling with it too, and I've had no issues. There's no sign of wear, of putting it on the camera and then like taking it off again. It works every single time. I don't notice any sort of scratching on my camera from this. So these are all good things from this. I really like it. I took a picture of this toy store because I'm actually doing a side project of pop culture, like Americana in the United States, you know. So every time I see a toy store, comic book store, I take a photo of it. I'm gonna make a book, but I don't know at what point I just call it quits. I travel a lot, so I try to get those when I'm out. Obviously, I'm not gonna go to every single one of them in America. So we'll see what happens. It could be like 20, 30 years from now by the time I actually make it. I don't know. Let's find out. And also a special shout out to Caleb for hooking me up with this little mount system. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I've been enjoying the heck out of it. If you guys want to grab one for yourself, I'll leave some links in the description below to the lenses and to the mount and all that stuff. I've been enjoying the heck out of these, and I'll be posting a lot of photos from this series. There's some already up there as of right now over on Instagram, just_another Chris, you know, if you're into that sort of thing. And I also have a Patreon page. I don't really talk about it all that much. I only like plugging stuff like that, push you guys to pay for stuff, but it does help support the channel, and you guys can get stuff sent to your door monthly if you want to join the monthly print club. If you're into that sort of thing, there's a link in the description below. Which lens system is best for you? You like this setup, or are you more of the mint lens setup? Let me know in the comments below. Let's chat. I would love to know your guys' thoughts and feedback, because you never know, maybe there's something I am missing. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for the final episode in the Just Another Chris Season 2 Halloween Special. We're going to be talking about a very unique Fuji instax camera. It's not even Fuji. It's pretty interesting. Kind of wild. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for that episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Now, get out there. Make some art. This was a fun one. I love doing videos on those lenses, and I did one in the following year. Nope, 2 years later. 2 years later, I revisited the lenses because I became friends with the guy that creates those lenses. Retrograde engineer, Aviv. I love Aviv, such a cool guy. We became friends. We met up at Policon this year in San Francisco. Got to hang out for the first time ever. But this was the first year like I showed off his products without even knowing the guy. I just loved using them, and I still use those to this day. It's in my camera bag at all times. In fact, I was out today picking up some of that reclaimed green film because I found out there's a local camera shop that actually got a shipment of it in, and they're in Oregon, so I can go there and not pay tax. But I brought the SX37 adapter with me and that fisheye, still rocking the fisheye. Aviv actually sells that exact fisheye lens now, so if you want to get one, you can check out a Retrograde Engineer, or I believe Brooklyn Film Camera also stocks his lenses, so you can get some there. Also, kind of funny, I'm still doing that pop culture Americana like photo like book, but I just been collecting photos to this day still. Maybe I should just make a final cutoff and start putting it together. I started it without a plan, and that was also like I think a bad thing. I just started doing it. Been shooting it since 2020, and I've come up with better ideas throughout. I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd thought of that when I started this thing. So we'll see. Maybe it'll never be anything. I just have a collection of random comic book and toy shop Polaroids and instax photos. But yeah, I'm gonna do something with that. I'm gonna do something about that real soon. Now let's move on to the final episode in this series, and that is on the instax camera, but not made by Fuji. It's the what was it called? The Sharper Image instax mini camera. I still have it. It's a good camera. Let's dive into it. Welcome into episode 5, the final episode, unfortunately, in the Halloween Special Season 2, and we're going to be talking about something kind of interesting. A super cheap, I mean uber cheap, instax mini camera that's not made by Fuji. Believe it or not, this is made by Sharper Image. Let's dive into it. There isn't a lot of information about this camera online from what I can find, but it looks like it was released in 2018 by Sharper Image. And no, this isn't a joke by Jim from The Office.
I think they have it at Sharper Image.
This thing's real. It actually exists. It operates pretty much exactly like an Instax mini camera by Fuji. I did a review on this years ago. My very first ever instant photography video on this channel, actually. This is the Mini 9. It operates exactly the same, except for one very kind of interesting, unique feature. It might not be that cool. So when you take a picture, it actually ejects from the side. So when you look through it like a normal camera and you push the button, the picture is going to come out sideways. Yeah. So if you want it to come out like a normal Instax camera, you have to actually turn it more awkwardly to the side and take your picture for it to come out that way. I don't know if that's necessarily a pro or a con. It is just what it is. Very interesting. But it has the same settings as an Instax camera would have. It has the different exposure modes, like indoors, cloudy, partially cloudy, sunny, and then high key, which is featured on this camera. I think this was the very first iteration of high key. And this camera came out in, I think, 2018. So Sharper Image just gutted, from what it looks like, this camera and put it into a new body. Now, this is way more ergonomic. I do love holding this way more than I do this camera. You don't feel like you're gonna accidentally take a picture just by picking this up. I've wasted so many shots just by grabbing the camera and accidentally hitting the button. However, it doesn't feature a selfie mirror on the front like the Instax does, which that's actually quite handy and very useful. To turn it on, it's exactly the same. You push the button and the lens pops out, and to turn it off, you close it. It has a light meter, it has a flash, it all around the same type of camera, but it feels durable. The battery compartment is what kills me on this thing. It is so weird. So on the grip, you slide the cover off, and you have to finagle the batteries in, and they don't really sit in there properly. They're just kind of floating around in there. It's very weird, but I haven't had any problems with it so far. I've shot a couple packs with it. I was going to shoot a lot more, but honestly, the results that I'm getting with this camera is pretty much the same as this one. But the flash on this camera, I am noticing, maybe it's just me, it is a little more bright. Like, it's pretty powerful. And also worth mentioning is the viewfinder. You're looking on the top of it. However, it is in line with the lens. So when you're shooting it in the normal, like, landscape mode, if you will, not vertical, the lens is actually in line with the viewfinder, so the framing is actually going to be pretty accurate. Not perfect, but pretty close, versus off to the side of the lens when on the Fuji cameras. See, they're at an angle, they don't line up. And this one, it lines up, which is a nice draw to this camera. Most cameras are not laid out like this, so I like this quite a bit. It feels a little more secure when you're loading the film in here. On this one, if you remember, one of my biggest complaints outside of accidentally taking a picture is the film door. The film door, I had to literally put some tape on it to keep it closed, because as I was pulling it in and out of my bag or whatever, this tab kept opening and I was dropping my film out. This camera, however, doesn't actually have that problem. It's right off to the side and opens, you know, like a normal door would. It doesn't flap down, and it's way more secure. The lens is plastic, just like the Instax camera, and it also is the same focal length. So it's a 60mm lens, and it's 0.6 meters to infinity for the focus range, which is the same as you might find on this one. So to recap, the major draw over this camera versus a Fuji camera, there are a couple. One, the viewfinder. Looking through this thing, it's lined up. You're gonna get pretty close, accurate framing when you take your pictures. Two, just the way it feels in the hands, it feels like an actual camera. The button on the top makes it feel like I'm not accidentally gonna take a picture just by picking it up. Ugh, that's annoying. Also, the way it ejects the film is off the side, so when you're holding it, you get those landscape photos. I don't know if that's a pro or a con, like I said, so that's really up to you and your preferences, but I think it's kind of unique. And also the film door. It seems like a weird thing to be talking about, but we're talking about film here, and you can't be exposed to light, so if that door keeps popping off, then you're wasting film. This thing, I've had so many issues with that. That's why I have to put tape on it. So the film door on this is really secure, and I don't have to worry about my film falling out. And lastly, price. This thing here, I think I paid $15 for it, maybe less. I bought it like probably close to a year ago almost. And if I can find some links to these, I will link to them for you to pick up, but I don't think you can buy them anywhere. I got mine from Walmart on the website, but I don't know if they're selling them anymore. So if I can find some links, I'll post them in the description. But yeah, this thing is pretty cheap. You can find this for around 20 bucks or less. These are still $50, $60 online, so there's a huge price difference. So it's really up to your preference. But overall, I actually really like this. I like this camera honestly a little bit more than I like this camera. Which one do you prefer? Are you gonna get the Fuji or are you gonna get the sharper image? I would love to know your thoughts. Please leave some comments below, let's chat, and be sure to check out the entire Halloween special 2021 edition. I left a link in the description below to the playlist for all 5 episodes of this. And if you're watching this on October 30th, 2021, be sure to tune in here for a special live stream. We're gonna hang out, answer questions that you might have, and just recap the whole series. We're gonna have some fun. So be sure to tune in tomorrow on Halloween. More information is in the description below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series as much as I did creating it. Oh, I love this. I have some fun plans for next year. I might go a little bit bigger. I've got some cool ideas. But in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Now, get out there, make some art. The sharper image. I actually really enjoy that camera. It's kind of hard to find these days because, well, they kind of weren't really easily obtainable. Like, they're just in random places, mostly like at Walmart, or I think Amazon maybe had them. I got mine from Walmart. I swear I think I only paid like $5 or $10 for it. Like, it was brand new too. Just a random find on their site. So you have to track it down like on eBay and everything. It was kind of cheap for a while, but then it kind of went up. However, if you want to get that camera, there's another company out there that made the same one. They must have bought the design because it doesn't say sharper image on it more, and it's slightly different, but not really. And I cannot pronounce the company's name of this. Popto, P-O-P-O-T-O. That looks like a Fisher Price camera. I actually really like it. The look of it, that is, because I actually have not fired a single shot out of this just yet. I need to do a video on it, but it's really cool. So that brings us to the end of the 2nd season of the Halloween special. I think it was starting to find its stride. I think like there was like one in the 1st season and then like another one in the 2nd season. Like so far, like my favorite ones of collectively. Which brings me to a little segue into the next thing that you'll see here in the next video, and that is my top probably 2 favorite episodes of the entire series. We're going to do a little rewatch of that. So if you want to see that, consider subscribing, and yeah, it's going to be a hoot and a half. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, get out there, make some art.